6 red flags that signal trouble in a long-distance relationship. They don't initiate conversations. Communication feels exhausting. You argue more frequently. They don't want to tell you about their life outside of your relationship. They gaslight you. You feel anxious before talking to them. Long-distance relationships require an extra level of thought and communication. Because of this, red flags can often be more difficult to identify in long-distance relationships. Reluctance to communicate, gaslighting, and frequent arguing can all be long-distance red flags. Number 1. They don't communicate with you. Communication is extremely important in a relationship, especially a long-distance one. But your partner doesn't share their feelings or thoughts with you. Every conversation is very basic and shallow. How was your day? What did you do? There's nothing going beyond that. Number 2. They don't want to make any future plans. You've brought up the subject of closing the gap and moving to their city or vice versa, and while in the beginning, they were excited about it, that's all changed. They don't talk about closing the gap and aren't interested in any future plans. So why are you in a long-distance relationship then? Number 3. You don't know any of their family or friends. When you are in their city, you don't hang out with their friends or family. It's just the two of you. Now, I can understand that to some extent, but if you've been dating for more than a couple of months, you should be meeting their friends and family. Instead, you're being kept in the dark. Number 4. The texts are getting shorter and shorter. If there's one thing that you do a lot of in a long-distance relationship is texting. You can't always FaceTime or Skype each other. But your partner's texts are getting shorter and shorter. They don't text you unless you make the first move, and when you do text them, you get a couple of words back. Number 5. You don't really know what they're doing. When you stop and think about it, you don't actually know what they do with their time. In a normal relationship, you two would share your day with each other, but they don't talk about what they do with their time. Don't you find this a little odd? Number 6. You're making all the plans. If you don't book the flight tickets, arrange a date night, and organize the phone calls, they're not moving an inch for you. You do it all. Sure, maybe you're someone who likes to take charge, but come on. What happens if you don't call them? Do they pick up the phone? This is one of the red flags in a long-distance relationship. Number 7. They're not excited to hear from you. Maybe you just aced your exam or finally got the job of your dreams. Naturally, the first people who tell are the ones who love. And, of course, you expect them to be happy. But your partner doesn't really seem to care. They're not excited and celebratory over your success, rather, they're flat. Number 8. You've seemed to disappear from their social media. If you were all over their social media and suddenly you're not, that sounds a little suspicious. If you comment on their posts, they don't engage, and they seem to keep you low-key. Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions and saying they're cheating on you, but it's clear they don't want your relationship to be public. Final thoughts. If you're going to be investing your time into someone who's living miles and miles away from you, you two better be on the same page. Long-distance relationships take a lot of time and energy to make it work, and if they're not pulling their weight, then what are you two doing? If you spot more than a couple of these red flags in a long-distance relationship, it's time for you to have a serious conversation with your partner and see what they want. I know you may not want to hear the answer, but being in a one-sided relationship isn't fair to you. You deserve more, and you know that.